Imagine the following situation. You're researching Buddhism, monks, spirituality, those kinds of things. And suddenly, you discover that there's an abbot, a leader of one of the most famous temples in the world, who supposedly had 51 wives and over 170 children. Yes, you heard right. 170 children. Hold on, let me do the math quickly. If we consider that he became a monk in 1981 and was arrested in 2024, that's 43 years of being a monk. That averages out to about 4 children per year. And this isn't the story of just any monk from some lost temple. I'm talking about the abbot of the Shaolin Temple. Yes, the very temple that appears in kung fu movies, the monks who break bricks on their heads and do those impressive things. The guy was like the CEO of Chinese Buddhism. He was so influential that he participated in China's National Congress. He had the privileges of a vice minister, drove a Mercedes BMW, and wore expensive clothes costing $70,000. This guy is really something else. But then you ask me, okay, but how does a monk who is supposed to take a vow of chastity, live simply, manage to have 51 women, 170 children, several luxury cars, and an empire of businesses generating over 1 billion yuan per year? This is literally one of the most absurd, comical, and surreal stories I've ever found on the internet. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you all about this case that's leaving China jaw-dropped. Because if you thought you'd seen it all on the internet, just wait until you hear the story of the Shaolin monk of debauchery. But before we dive into the juicier parts of the story, let's understand who our protagonist is here. His name is Shengxin, or Shi Yongxin, depending on the romanization. But his birth name was Lu Yincheng. He was born in September 1965 in Anhui Province and became a monk at the Shaolin Temple in 81, at just 16 years old. So far, everything seems normal, right? A young man who decided to dedicate his life to spirituality, Buddhist teachings, meditation. But it seems that wasn't quite the case. In 1999, he became the abbot of the Shaolin Temple. And mind you, this isn't just any position. The Shaolin Temple was founded in 495 AD. It has more than 1,500 years of history. It's even considered the birthplace of Shao Buddhism, which we know as Zen, and it's the most famous temple in China. It's like being a sort of pope of Buddhist kung fu. And what did our friend Shao do when he took on this sacred and highly respected position? He turned the temple into a corporate money-making machine. The guy registered over 700 trademarks. He literally registered the word Shaolin as a trademark. It's like if the Pope decided to trademark the word church and charge royalties from everyone who wants to use it. He created 18 companies linked to the temple, opened more than 40 martial arts schools around the world, organized touring shows with monks, sold tickets, incense, souvenirs. More than 350 million yuan a year just from selling incense. And the total revenue probably exceeded 1 billion. To give you an idea, people were paying from 400 yuan to 100,000 yuan for an incense offering. His nickname was the Buddhist CEO and political monk. And look, the nicknames make total sense, okay? Because while he was there in the temple praying and meditating, he was also closing deals, expanding businesses, participating in the National Congress of China as the vice president of the Buddhist Association. The guy was an entrepreneur. Maybe he just wanted to modernize the temple, bring in more resources suddenly. Our dear abbot, Shengxin, officially declared that he earned 700 yuan a month. It's a pretty humble monk's salary, right? A simple life, material detachment, those things that monks preach. But it seems this didn't quite match reality, okay? Reports from outlets like HK001 in Hong Kong and other international media estimated that his personal wealth could reach $3 billion. That's right, billions, with a B. And his annual income was supposed to be around $300 million, while he declared earning 500 rays a month. How did the media know this? How do people claim that? Let's say the monk here wasn't a very discreet person. He was spotted several times wearing silk robes embroidered with gold threads, decorated with stones and emeralds. A single outfit could cost about 550,000 yuan. That's almost $75,000. I've never even earned $75,000 in my entire life. And there are the cars, right? The Shaolin Temple had a fleet of 15 luxury vehicles: Mercedes, BMW, Land Rover. And when questioned about this, the response was that, well, they were gifts in recognition of the temple's cultural contributions. We only use them for official exchange events. Of course, right? Because after all, it's very normal for a Buddhist monk to need a Mercedes. The guy traveled more than a sixth of the year abroad. He was flying around the whole world, like an influencer on tour. By 2004, the temple's performance groups had already visited over 60 countries, done more than 1,000 performances, and made a lot of money. And there's more. In 2015, the Shaolin Temple began purchasing land in Australia to build a complex that included a temple, but also had a martial arts academy, hotel, and a golf course. Yes, they wanted a golf course. Who knows, right? Sometimes monks are big fans of golf. The investment, $297 million, for a project in Australia. Okay, now we get to the part everyone was waiting for, the cherry on top. Because even though some people claim that he is corrupt, that he embezzled money, that he lives a life of luxury, which is not very appropriate, at least he must be adhering to the monastic vows of chastity, right? Wrong. Rumors started to surface that Shangshin wasn't, let's say, a very chaste monk. In May 2011, rumors circulated online that he was arrested for soliciting prostitution. The temple, of course, denied everything and even filed a police report against those spreading the news. But then, in October 2011, another rumor emerged that he had a relationship with a well-known woman, that he was financially supporting a student from Peking University, and that he had a child with her. The temple once again demanded evidence, and it seems the evidence was forthcoming. In 2013, detailed reports began to appear on local forums with names, addresses, and even photos of women allegedly involved with him. One of these women reportedly died in a car accident, but the major moment was on July 25, 2015, when someone, using the name Xi Jiangyi, made a heavy public accusation against Shangshin. And this person didn't come empty-handed. They brought household records of two women with the surname Han, who were supposedly his lovers and mothers of his children. Birth certificates of these children, a 1988 document suggesting that Shangshin had been expelled from the Shaolin Temple, police interrogation transcripts involving a woman with the surname Liu, who confirmed having personal and business relations with him. And here comes a number that makes us question reality. According to the allegations, Shangshin had relationships with 51 women and fathered over 170 children. This isn't a monk, man. This is a soccer team with substitutes, a technical mission, and even organized fans if you put some on the bench. Just so you know, if we do the math, that's an average of almost 4 children per year since he became a monk. The guy had a greater ability to reproduce than a rabbit. And look, the authorities in Dongfeng said in August 2015 that there was no one named Xin Jiangye making accusations. But literally, 3 days later, 2 close associates of Shangshin appeared in Beijing with even more evidence. And you know what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The allegations were investigated and filed away. Shangshin remained in office, kept his privileges, and retained everything he already had. Even CCTV, apparently, did a special program in 2015 to clear his image and discredit the accusations. It was like, look here, folks, the monk is innocent. Supposedly, right? But as the saying goes, the rope always breaks on the weaker side. In July 2024, the rope finally snapped. Rumors began circulating online that Shangshin had been arrested. On the morning of the 27th, a sensational rumor emerged that he, along with his children and several lovers, tried to flee to the United States via Shanghai International Airport, but was intercepted. Renan's police quickly debunked this rumor. But then, on the night of the 27th, the Shaolin Temple Management Committee released an official statement confirming that Shangshin was being investigated for serious crimes, including embezzlement of project funds, misappropriation of temple assets, severe violations of Buddhist codes, long-term illicit relationships with multiple women, and fathering children out of wedlock. On July 28th, the Buddhist Association of China officially revoked his religious name. That's like being excommunicated from the church. He ceased to be a monk. And at this moment, the guy is being investigated criminally. The accusations, which were ignored in 2015, resurfaced. The same documents, once dismissed as fake, have now become evidence. And as you can imagine, the Chinese internet exploded. So to sum it up, this story is absolutely insane. But there's something quite interesting here. Apparently, there's much more behind this story than just a monk who likes many women and is, supposedly, corrupt. Shang Qing's rise happened during Jiang Zemin's government, who was China's leader from 1989 to 2002. And Jiang had a very clear policy: commercialize everything possible, including religious sites. It was during this period that Shaolin became this money-making machine, and Shang had many connections with people close to the government, very important people even. But then Xi Jinping came to power in 2012, and Xi had a very different vision. In 2017, the Chinese government started cracking down hard on the commercialization of religion. 12 government agencies issued regulations prohibiting these practices. And guess who got caught in the crossfire? Exactly. So the question here is, who protected Shang Qing for 10 years, and who abandoned him now? This shows how complicated politics is in China. So, summarizing this quite insane story, we have a Buddhist monk who supposedly had 51 wives, 170 children, a billion-dollar empire, drove a Mercedes, wore $80,000 clothes, and still found time to be the vice president of the Buddhist Association of China and participate in the National Congress. Imagine what this guy's schedule looked like. But what about you? What did you think of this absurd story? Were you already familiar with this case? Do you think this would make a good Netflix series? Leave your comments here. I want to know your opinion too. If you enjoyed this video, which is much more relaxed and also quite humorous, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to learn more stories from Asia here, stay tuned because there's a lot of great content coming up. Thank you so much for watching until now, and see you next time.